Insulting the American flag is bad enough, but doing it in front of a massive crowd, that is a whole different story. Even though it is not technically illegal in the US, it is seen as incredibly disrespectful. Because of this, Bart became the most hated kid in town. The situation got so out of hand that the entire Simpson family ended up behind bars. Wait, I thought you said it wasn't illegal, so why were they arrested? It all started with a very strange car ride. For some reason, Homer and Marge were being suspiciously nice today. Not only did they let the kids eat ice cream in the car, they even let them bring the cat along. As the saying goes, if it seems too good to be true, it probably is. Lisa realized this immediately. Bart also felt like something was up. Marge told the kids not to worry, while telling Homer to lock the windows tight. They finally pulled up in front of Dr. Hibbert. The kids finally realized it was vaccination day. Hibbert's needle was huge, and he told them to be brave. Bart chose to fight till the end, but Lisa decided to just get it over with. She stepped up to be the first one to get the shot. After Lisa was done, it was Bart's turn. Marge reminded him not to forget Maggie, but Maggie had already been vaccinated a second ago. Now, the final needle was pointed at Bart. Bart dodged left and right, successfully avoiding the doctor. With a quick sprint and a jump, he managed to escape through the window. But Dr. Hibbert is a pro and wasn't about to let Bart go that easily. Unable to catch Bart, Hibbert gave up and sat on the curb looking defeated. Bart went over to comfort him. He said, "Don't feel bad. Mom couldn't even get me to wear leg braces." But things weren't as they seemed. The person in front of him wasn't the doctor. It was Barney in disguise. The real Dr. Hibbert was hiding behind a tree. Barney grabbed Bart, and Hibbert finally landed the shot. Mission accomplished. Marge came over to comfort Bart, saying a little shot is no big deal. But before she could finish, Bart realized something was wrong. Suddenly, he couldn't hear a thing. Homer quickly took him back to see Dr. Hibbert. After an exam, it turned out to be a minor allergy that caused his ear canals to swell up and close. Hibbert pulled a pen from his pocket and gave it to Homer. As Homer took it, Hibbert handed him a clipboard to test the pen. Little did Homer know, he was signing a liability waiver. This meant that no matter what happened to Bart later, the doctor wasn't responsible. Wow, that was sneaky. Ever since Bart lost his hearing, the local bullies didn't bother him. Since he couldn't hear their insults, he didn't react at all. Seeing Bart stand his ground, the bullies actually got nervous. They were all bark and no bite, and Bart's calmness scared them off. Groundskeeper Willie felt for Bart because he had lost his hearing once during a boiler explosion. Luckily, Willie had learned how to read lips. By that evening, even asking Bart to pass the ketchup had become a major challenge. Marge couldn't stand seeing him struggle and suggested he stay home from school for a while. But Bart wouldn't hear of it because tomorrow was the big donkey basketball game. The next day, the teachers rode donkeys onto the court, and the crowd was going wild. But the fun wouldn't last. Before the game, everyone had to stand for the national anthem. During the song, the atmosphere was solemn, but Bart, unable to hear the music, was busy teasing a donkey with a carrot. When Bart put the carrot in his pocket, the donkey lunged for it, ripping Bart's pants right off. At that exact moment, a kid nearby snapped a photo, capturing Bart accidentally mooning the American flag. This desecration was so shocking that the principal even covered the donkey's eyes. The crowd was absolutely outraged. To them, this was the flag people fought for, and it was their symbol of faith. Although Bart couldn't hear the boos, he could see the looks on their faces. It was clear they weren't cheering for him. Very soon, the principal called Homer and Marge into his office. Marge tried her best to defend Bart, explaining that his temporary deafness caused the whole misunderstanding. The principal wasn't buying it, listing off all the other trouble Bart had caused in the past. Bart's hearing finally returned, but the first thing he heard was a mob of kids yelling at him. They couldn't get over what he did to the flag. Before he could explain, they gave him a piece of their minds. Bad news travels fast, and the local newspaper editor was looking for a scandal. One of his reporters offered to improve the photo, using a computer to make Bart look even more villainous. Now the whole town was talking about it. When the family went to get their car washed, people gave them dirty looks. When they tried to play mini-golf, they were called traitors like Benedict Arnold. Homer shouted that nobody was more patriotic than him. But then he accidentally stepped on a model of Congress and Mount Rushmore. Back at home, Homer got a phone call. It was an invitation to appear on a talk show to discuss the recent controversy. This seemed like a great chance to finally clear their names. When the show started, the host asked Bart why he hated this country so much. He asked if there wasn't enough freedom. Bart tried to be sincere and apologize for what happened, mentioning how he respected God and the men and women serving overseas. But the host cut him off and twisted his words, asking if he thought soldiers were better than God. Marge jumped in, saying that Americans aren't perfect. The host gasped, "Americans aren't perfect? Is that why you and your son hate us?" Marge pointed out that if us meant people who twist words like him, then maybe she did. The host mocked Marge's bravery for saying those things on national television. Marge confidently claimed her views would be popular back home. That was a mistake. The host turned it into a headline. The whole town of Springfield hates America. What started as Bart's mistake had grown to include his family, and now the entire town. Soon, the most patriotic groups in the country were coming for Springfield. Meanwhile, those who disliked America were cheering for the Simpsons, calling them a shining light. At the same time, the president had actually targeted the town with missiles. The mayor was panicked. To save the town's image, he tried to make it look as patriotic as possible. He even renamed the town Liberty-Ville. His logic was that people couldn't hate Liberty-Ville. Now the patriotic vibe in town was suffocating. Even the traffic lights were changed to red and blue. When Marge went grocery shopping, she could only find Patriot brand food. She felt like it was all way too much. But Apu, who had immigrated, disagreed. He had completely Americanized his life. His kids were now named Liberty, Lincoln, Pepsi, and Destiny. His whole philosophy was, "I wasn't born here, but I'm more American than anyone." The local church even held a service to discuss if God was patriotic enough. But it turned out the whole thing was a trap set by the government. Officers burst through the windows and surrounded the Simpsons. They were hauled off to prison. Marge still couldn't believe this was happening. Lisa noted that they weren't alone. Plenty of other famous people had been locked up too. They saw Michael Moore, the Dixie Chicks, and even Bill Clinton in there. He was apparently arrested for criticizing tax cuts. Life in prison was definitely not going to be easy.